Welcome. Accurate Biometrics has created this video to assist the non-criminal justice community on how to read the various parts of the Illinois State Police Criminal History Record Information Rap Sheet. If the response to your applicant's fingerprint-based background check resulted in a hit, a criminal history record information rap sheet will be sent to the requesting agency from the Illinois State Police, normally within 24 hours. Please note that the majority of non-criminal justice agencies are only permitted by law to review conviction information. Only the entire criminal history rap sheet can normally be viewed by the individual themselves, the criminal justice community, and certain legislatively authorized state agencies. If you are an individual wishing to review your entire criminal history information rap sheet, find contact information on the last slide of this presentation. The Illinois rap sheet consists of 3 sections: the header information, subject identifiers, and criminal history data. Let's begin with the header information, which appears at the top of the very first page. First, we have the subject's name field. Notice the words last known name in parentheses for those subjects using multiple names. This is the name the subject is most recently using and used at the time of his or her latest arrest event. The applicant name used will also appear in the identifier section on the cover page, which will appear prior to the rap sheet in your response package. To the right, we have the subject's state identification number. The state identification number, or better known as SID, is assigned to the subject by the Illinois State Police upon their receipt of the very first set of fingerprints. All future fingerprints for this subject will be posted to the same SID, comprising the subject's rap sheet. The conviction status is compiled from the outcome of the subject's reported final court dispositions. For example, you may see felony convictions. This tells you at a quick glance that the subject is a convicted felon. On the other hand, you may see a notice of misdemeanor convictions, which tells you at a quick glance that the subject has had no disposition reported to the Illinois State Police other than misdemeanors. If you see any type of notification next to the custodial status field, this tells you the subject has been received at some point in time into a county jail or the Department of Corrections. Following to the right is the most recent date of this or these occurrences. At the bottom of the header section, we have listed all alias names utilized by the subject. It has been reported by the Illinois State Police that the average criminal uses 7 alias names. The last field in the header section contains all dates of birth utilized and reported for the subject. All of the header information is a snapshot in time when the rap sheet was produced and is subject to update with future rap sheets, excluding the subject's SID, which will always remain the same. The subject identifiers section contains the subject's sex, race, height, weight, eye color, hair color, and skin tone. Being that a subject's height and weight fluctuate, the date reported adjacent to the height and weight reports the most recent date this information was posted. Additional identifiers that may or may not be present are the subject's FBI number and the Chicago IR number. As long as a set of fingerprints was forwarded to the FBI will issue an FBI number. This also holds true for the city of Chicago. If the subject was arrested at any time in Cook County, Illinois, the Chicago IR number is initiated by the City of Chicago. Both the FBI and Chicago IR numbers serve the same purpose to the FBI and the Chicago Police Department, as the SID number serves for the Illinois State Police. The scars, marks, and tattoo field will contain an abbreviated version of the applicant's noted scars, marks, and tattoos, or SMTs, at the time of arrest. The place of birth field will contain the state or country reported at the time of arrest. Please note the rap sheet may contain multiple places of birth. The driver's license number field and driver's license state field may or may not contain the subject's DLN and DLS if provided. The social security number, if given at the time of arrest, will be included in this field. It should be noted that multiple social security numbers may also be listed if multiple social security numbers were provided at the time of arrest. The miscellaneous number is an identifying military number issued identifying the specific branch of military the subject was assigned to. This field, too, is optional. Palm prints available will contain the name of the agency who may have captured the subject's palm prints. Likewise, the photo available field will contain the name of the arresting agency where a photo of the subject was taken and available for investigative purposes. The IDOC field, or the Illinois Department of Corrections field, will only be present if the subject was held in county jail or incarcerated in the Department of Corrections. Adjacent to the IDOC field is the INS number field, or Immigration and Naturalization Number. This field may or may not contain the Immigration and Naturalization Number if captured and reported at the time of arrest. The last two fields in the identifier section are the subject's occupation and employer, along with the date reported, as employers can change. Over the next several slides, we will explain to you how to read the criminal history data portion of the Illinois rap sheet. The criminal history data section of the rap sheet contains two main categories, the first being the arrest cycle, followed by the custodial cycle. The arrest cycle consists of the arrest charge section, followed by the state's attorney section, and lastly, the court disposition section. The arrest cycle posting begins with the DCN, also known as the document control number. The criminal history data section begins with the document control number. The document control number is a unique identifier assigned to every arrest and is used at a later stage of the cycle to link the state's attorney filing and the court disposition. Then we have the date of arrest. This is the actual date the subject was arrested and taken into custody. The name field contains the name provided by the subject at the time of arrest. Keep in mind, the arrestee may not have been in possession of any identifying data at the time of arrest, and may use any name they choose or chosen by the arresting agency. Next, we have the subject's provided date of birth, followed by the current residence of the subject if this could be determined. Not all arrest cycles will contain a residence address. The next field is the name of the arresting agency, followed by the NCIC, or National Crime Information Center, assigned originating requester identification, better known as the ORI number. The agency case number appearing on the next line is a mandatory field and will always be present. You may see this field populated with the letter X if no agency case number was reported to the Illinois State Police. The officer's badge number may or may not appear on the subject's rap sheet. The photo available field in this section just documents with a yes or no if the subject's photo was taken. The next section of the arrest cycle is the court charges and disposition section. The first field lists the count of offense, count 1, count 2, count 3, etc. After the count is the statute citation, which is the legal numeric value of what the subject was arrested for. The statute citation is made up of three parts. In this example, the charge section is 720, the act is 5.0, and the article is 9.1. For more information on the individual charge the subject was arrested for, please visit the Illinois General Assembly website at www.ilga.gov and click on the Illinois Compiled Statute link. The CSAOD field, called the Inchoate Offense Code, is used to specify the type of criminal offense category an individual is charged with committing. Inchoate offenses are crimes that involve steps taken by an offender toward committing a crime, even if the intended crime never occurs. Police agencies are required to report the appropriate inchoate offense code when completing the ISP arrest card. It must be completed with one of the alpha characters listed above in order to describe the criminal offense. The codes are C. Conspiracy, agreeing with or consulting with others to commit a crime. S. Solicitation, encouraging or requesting someone else to commit a crime. Attempt, trying to commit a crime but failing, or being stopped prior to carrying out the criminal offense. O. Substantive, actually completed the criminal offense, such as murder, robbery, burglary, theft, criminal sexual assault, etc. And D. Drug offense. The most common code appearing in the inchoate offense code field is O. Most criminal offenders are not arrested for conspiring, soliciting, or attempting to commit a crime. Most criminal offenders are charged with actually carrying out the criminal offense for which they were arrested. The class of offense field will help you determine if the subject was arrested for a felony or a misdemeanor. A felony is always a more harsh class of offense than a misdemeanor. To easier understand this category, at the right of the sample, you can see the felony and misdemeanor categories. If you see a 1, 2, 3, 4, X, or M, those classes belong to the felony category. If you see a class A, B, or C, those fall into the misdemeanor category. The last line on the arrest charge section contains the arrest type and the date of offense. The arrest type will most often state on-view arrest, but may show a warrant if the arrest was a result of being picked up for some type of in-state or out-of-state warrant issued. The last field being the date of offense, which is the date the actual offense occurred. This date will always be on or before the date of arrest. Now we will go over the state's attorney portion of the Illinois rap sheet. Many of the fields in this section are duplicate to those in the arrest cycle. We will go over the new fields added to this cycle of events. First, note that you will not always see a state's attorney section posted on the rap sheet. The state's attorney filing decision will only appear on the rap sheet if it was reported to the Illinois State Police. Their first field you should note is the filing decision. This field represents the action taken by the state's attorney for each charge. In this case, the state's attorney filed the case. The filing decisions you can see here are filed, not filed, modified, or added. The state's attorney can choose to file a case, not file a case, modify a case, or add a charge to a case. To the right of the filing decision, you will see the decision date, the date the state's attorney made this decision. All other fields located on the state's attorney section were explained as part of the arrest cycle. In the sample provided here, the state's attorney added a second count for the charge of attempted murder. We will now move on to the circuit court clerk's court disposition section. It is important to know that the subject will almost always report to the state's attorney, or the circuit court clerk, office in the county where the original arrests took place. As with the state's attorney section, many of the fields present in the court disposition section are the same as those of the arrest cycle. We will look over the new fields added to the disposition cycle of events. Note that you may not always see a court disposition section posted on the rap sheet. For those entities authorized to see conviction information, only a disposition will always be present. For those entities authorized to view the entire criminal history rap sheet, the rap sheet may contain an open arrest where a final court disposition was not reported. In those cases, the authorized entity would be required to contact the circuit court clerk, where the arrest took place, in order to obtain the final court disposition, if it is available. The first field we should note here is the case of the disposition. This field represents the action taken by the circuit court. In the first case, the individual is found guilty for the charge of murder. There are many court disposition outcomes you may see in this field: guilty, not guilty, SOL, or stricken off with leave to reinstate at a later date, just to name a few. To the right of the disposition decision is the final court disposition date. Beneath the disposition of the case, if required, you will find a sentence section where the case was dismissed. Where the injured individual was found not guilty, there would be no sentence following. In the sentence section, you will find the status of the disposition. In most cases, you will see sentence 2, but you may also see consecutive or concurrent, if the sentence was to run consecutively or concurrently with another case. To the right of the sentence status is the actual sentence imposed on the subject. For example, sentenced to county jail supervision, the Department of Corrections, home confinement, etc. This field will also contain the term of the sentence. In this example, the subject was sentenced to 10 years in the Department of Corrections. To the right of the sentence field, you will see any fine amount imposed on the individual. Note that a fine alone in Illinois is also considered a conviction. Lastly, you will see the date the subject was sentenced. The example here shows count 2 of attempted murder, which was the added state's attorney charge. The subject was found not guilty. We will now move on to the custodial cycle of the Illinois rap sheet. If the subject spent time in the Department of Corrections or was sentenced to a county jail, you will see information in the custodial cycle portion of the rap sheet. The fields here in this cycle are very similar to those present in the arrest cycle of the rap sheet. The custodial cycle consists of 2 sections, the first being the custodial receipt section, followed by the custodial status section. Additional fields in the receipt section include the name of the county jail or the Department of Corrections the subject was received into, the date of receipt, and the charge and term for which the subject was sentenced into. Lastly, the custodial status section will include any status changes. There can be many status changes, such as discharges, transfers, and receipts into other correctional institutions. Accurate Biometrics would like to thank you for taking the time to review this video. Should you have any questions on any of the content included here, please contact us toll-free at 866-361-9944 or visit our website at accuratebiometrics.com.